Welcome to this explainer. If you've been weighing your car options lately, you know there is just so much noise out there. So today, we're going to cut right through that surface level hype and look at the real long term economics of electric vehicles. It's literally the question on almost every car buyer's mind right now. Are you thinking of buying an EV just to beat those crazy high gas prices? I mean, everyone talks about the instant gratification, right? The immediate savings you get right at the plug. But we aren't just looking at day one today. We're going to trace the entire life cycle timeline to see exactly what happens to your wallet 5 full years down the line. Because, as you'll see, the long-term math might actually surprise you. All right, let's get right into section one, the upfront EV premium. We have to start on day one at the dealership. When you put an electric SUV side by side with an equivalent gas-powered SUV, you're going to see a pretty steep initial barrier. A lot of folks call this the EV tax. On average, you're looking at a $5,000 to $10,000 upfront premium. Yeah, it's a much steeper hill to climb right out of the gate. But Uncle Sam does step in to help soften this blow. Depending on the exact model and current regulations, federal tax credits can offer up to $7,500 back. So while that initial sticker price is definitely higher, the actual out-of-pocket gap can narrow significantly on day one if you qualify for those incentives. Moving right along to section 2, 5 years of fuel. Let's break down the daily running costs for the average American driving roughly 13,500 miles a year. When we look at that standard 13,500 miles a year, the fuel costs diverge wildly. In a regular gas car, traveling that distance is going to run you about $1,800 annually at the pump. But charging an EV at home for that exact same distance, that only costs roughly $550. That's a fraction of the cost year over year, just for the energy required to get you from point A to point B. Now, let's compound that efficiency over a 5-year period. Assuming you keep your driving habits exactly the same, you are saving a massive $6,250 on energy alone. Remember that upfront EV premium we just looked at? Well, it's already starting to look a lot less intimidating when you factor in this kind of fuel savings. Which brings us to section 3, the hidden maintenance hero. We really need to look at routine servicing costs, because fuel savings are honestly only part of the story. Over 5 years, a traditional gas car is, well, it's incredibly needy. It needs roughly 10 oil changes, new spark plugs, belt replacements, transmission flushes. It's a machine with thousands of small, explosive, moving parts. An EV? It basically has none of that. You completely eliminate routine engine maintenance. Plus, EVs use regenerative braking, meaning they use the motor to slow the car down and capture energy. Because of this, your physical brake pads do a fraction of the work and they easily last well past the 5-year mark, often twice as long as traditional brakes. And hey, you don't just have to take my word for it. According to Consumer Reports, EV owners pay 50% less on repair and maintenance over the life of the vehicle. When you run those numbers alongside our 5-year timeline, this drastic reduction in moving parts ends up saving you another $2,000 to $3,000 by year 5. So lower fuel costs and drastically lower maintenance costs, they're really stacking up in the EV's favor here. But here we go. Section 4, the year 5 plot twist. It is time to talk about the depreciation hit. This is the big concept we have to grapple with. Depreciation. Historically, EVs take a heavy hit here. Because EV tech is developing so incredibly fast, and because manufacturers have aggressively cut prices on new models just to stay competitive, older models age really quickly in the eyes of the market. As a result, they lose their resale value much faster than traditional, more predictable gas cars. So sure, you might have saved thousands on gas and oil changes, but the market value of your vehicle is dropping steeply. But here's the fascinating contradiction. The market absolutely panics, right? The resale value drops off a cliff because buyers assume the worst about an aging EV. But the actual data tells a totally different story. By year 5, your actual battery health typically hovers around a robust 85 to 90% capacity. Not only that, but you are still safely tucked under the mandatory 8-year, 100,000-mile federal warranty on that battery. The car itself is perfectly healthy, but the financial depreciation curve is steep anyway. All right, section 5, the final financial verdict. Synthesizing all of this data, we have to ask the ultimate question. Did you actually save money? Comparing the entire 5-year journey side by side, the story becomes crystal clear. Yes, the EV has a higher upfront premium, but over 5 years, you're spending roughly $2,750 on EV energy compared to a whopping $9,000 on gas. your maintenance goes from high, oil, filters, fluids, to very low, basically just tires, wipers, and cabin filters. So if you buy new, if you drive a lot to maximize those energy savings, and you successfully use those tax incentives, the massive gas and maintenance savings completely wipe out that steeper depreciation hit. Under those specific conditions, the EV is absolutely a financial win. But what if you want to completely game the system? If you want the absolute smartest financial move, the answer is incredibly simple. Buy a 2 to 3-year-old used EV. By doing this, you let the first owner take that massive disproportionate depreciation hit we just talked about. You step in when the price has bottomed out, you still get a car with great battery health that's under warranty, and you get to enjoy all of that incredibly cheap driving and practically non-existent maintenance for the next 5 years. Honestly, it's the ultimate financial sweet spot. So, we've walked through the upfront costs, the daily fuel, the hidden maintenance, and the harsh reality of depreciation. After seeing the real math for your next garage edition, which side are you choosing? Are you Team EV or are you sticking with Team Gas? And more importantly, now that you know how these hidden financial mechanics work, what other hidden vehicle costs do you think we should break down next?